Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pro Wrestling Straight Shooter. I'm your host, DJ. Gonna jump right in here. This is the second half of my last video when I talked about the exit of Dean Ambrose. Want to pick apart a little bit more. Supposedly there are a lot of people now in WWE asking for their release, or at least speculated. As I said in the last video, Dean Ambrose, WWE confirmed that one. The other one that they confirmed was Hideo Itami. Both rather polarizing. Dean Ambrose, I need to say no more about him. Hideo Itami was, again, another high-profile pick that they got for NXT. I was excited as hell when the guy came on board. I was looking forward to seeing a lot about him, and he just never materialized, and not a lot of that was his fault. You know, he got injured. He was out for quite a while, and then he had setback after setback, and by the time they got him back on TV, quite frankly, NXT had other toys to play with, and Hideo Itami just kind of got lost in the shuffle, and I don't think he ever really recovered, and I don't know whether that was a booking issue or whether that was just a fan perception issue. The guy's amazing in the ring. He's just spectacular, and like I said, I was looking forward to seeing more from him. And, you know, embarrassingly enough, in my Royal Rumble predictions video this year, he was my pick to win the, to win the Cruiserweight Championship. That little segment hasn't aged well. But anyway, I want to talk more about whether or not I think Dean Ambrose leaving, Hideo Itami leaving, and allegedly other people asking for their release from their WWE contracts is a sign or symptom of a larger problem within WWE. And I'm going to start off by saying I don't think it is, and I'll explain a little bit more along the way as we go. Supposedly, over the last few weeks, you know, we've come up on the heels of the Revival apparently not being happy and asking for their release. Then it came out that Mike and Maria Kanellis had asked for their release. Now, Maria Kanellis has gone on Twitter and categorically denied that, stating that people ran with a story that they didn't know anything about and they were completely misquoted. So, as far as I know, they're not planning on going anywhere. And then, you know, I just read a tweet the other day that apparently at a live NXT show, Cassius Ohno took a live mic and said he was out of there and wanted out of his contract. So, who really knows? It's all conjecture and speculation at this point. And for my money, until I see them show up elsewhere, they're not gone. Now, that's not ignorance on my part. That's just me not feeding into the news sites. I mean, every single quote-unquote wrestling journalist that's, you know, got a computer or a cell phone has been all over these stories. And the biggest, most laughable take out of this whole thing is that WWE is somehow on the ropes because all these people are leaving. This is no disrespect to any of the talent that may or may not be wanting out of their contracts or may have already been granted their release. As I said in the last video, I was a huge fan of Dean Ambrose. I like Hideo Itami. I'm a fan of the Revival. I don't know enough about Mike and Maria Kanellis to really have an opinion either way. WWE is going on 40 some odd or more years of being the company that we know it to be today. They survived Hulk Hogan, Savage, Hall, Nash, The Warrior, Bret Hart all leaving. They survived the retirement of Stone Cold Steve Austin, the retirement more or less of The Rock. They survived, you know, a part-time John Cena. The bottom line of this is, for every star that decides they don't want to be a part of the WWE machine anymore, there are 10 more trying to get in the door that will take your spot. And that's not a knock on Dean Ambrose. He's a huge, huge cog in a machine, but he is a cog that at some point someone will step up and replace. Will they be the next Dean Ambrose? No, but they will be the next them. And to me, that's what's important. Look at what happened when Hall and Nash left. We're going back quite a number of years. When Hall and Nash left, man, that was the infancy of the internet wrestling community, and we all found out they were leaving via the internet. And what the few avenues that were there available at the time blew up with the story, and it was the death of WWE. Their two biggest stars were gone, and blah, 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 blah. And what did WWE do? They went out and made new stars. So if you don't think for a minute they don't have somebody sitting in the wings waiting to replace Dean Ambrose, you're absolutely out of your mind. Now, these people that are asking for their release, I said at the beginning of the video, do I think it's a sign or a symptom of larger problems in the WWE? Again, I'm not sure how to go on that. Part of me is saying no, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Part of me is saying yes, and again, I'm going to expand upon that. Now, I've told you guys at length on this show and on Twitter many times, WWE does not always check off my boxes. There are some times where I sit down and I watch a show and I'm like, creatively, what are you guys doing? And for every festival of friendship that they do, there's two This Is Your Life with Alexa Bliss. And I'm not going to hold Alexa completely accountable for the failure of that segment. I just thought it was a horrible segment. And then you go over to Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn with the, what was it that they did? The obstacle course. Again, it showed off Bobby Lashley's physical attributes, but the segment was a dud. It was absolutely horrible. So for every time I think WWE gets it right, they get it wrong twice. And that's not a bad average, 50%. That's probably on par with most TV shows. So yeah, I think maybe creatively, I think WWE at times misses the mark, and I think it frustrates the talent. I would certainly be embarrassed as hell if I was Alexa Bliss or Sami Zayn or Bobby Lashley to know that my name is now associated with a part that bombed miserably. Then you can take into account the ratings. People will argue, well, the ratings are the worst they've ever been. Okay, but there's also the argument that with online media, YouTube channels, views online, that maybe the ratings, at least as far as the WWE as a company whole and their business model, TV ratings don't necessarily mean anything when you've got the network, you've got YouTube, you've got any internet out, Facebook and whatever else they're on. So it's as far as using the argument, oh, ratings are in the toilet, and ratings are no longer the indicator of the health of WWE as a company. It's important to the network itself. Obviously, they don't want a show that they're putting money into ending up in the bottom of their ratings, pile. But Raw and SmackDown have hardly been at the bottom of the ratings pile, even with the ratings being as low as they have been lately. Then there's the argument that creatively WWE is the worst it's ever has been, and I cannot, again, I use this term a lot, more wholeheartedly disagree with that sentiment. Most people that are screaming that came on board at around 1998, 1999 at the beginning of the Attitude Era. You guys didn't have to sit through the garbage that we sat through from about 92 until about 97. There was a whole block of time in there where we sat through a lot of garbage, boys and girls, a lot of garbage gimmicks, a lot of garbage angles, some pretty good wrestling from a couple of guys. But the product as a whole was crap, and even Vince McMahon has admitted WWE was close to closing the doors at that point in time before they made a much-needed change. They are nowhere in the neighborhood of needing to make a much-needed change, not when they've just turned themselves into a multi-billion-dollar company with 2 massive TV deals that they just signed within the last 12 months. So as far as whether or not I think WWE is on the ropes and whether or not I think, this is people asking for their release is a sign or symptom, I do in the sense that I think WWE could give their talent a bit more creative freedom, but you got to be careful with that. Because as I've said before on Twitter, some people do really, really well on the mic and in segments. Some people need to be coached along. Some people need to never set foot near a microphone because they just don't have what it takes to get on a microphone and deliver and sell me as a viewer on what they're trying to do in the ring. So comes a time and place where you need to realize who needs help, you need to realize who needs guidance, and you need to realize who can do it kind of on their own with kind of a watchful eye overhead. And creatively, if you're not getting that, like a guy like Dean Ambrose, I can see why you would want to leave. If you're a guy like Mike Kanellis and you haven't been on TV for months and months and months, and you're kind of feeling like, okay, what am I doing here just soaking up catering? Yes, I'm going on the road. Yes, I'm making money, but maybe I have something to offer that you guys aren't seeing. That's on creative. That's not on him. Now, maybe there's an argument that could be made, hey, is this guy putting his best foot forward? Is he really making a push to say, hey, look, can you guys give me something to do? We can only speculate as to how the opportunities are doled out back, behind the scenes in WWE, why they choose to give this guy TV time week after week after week after week, yet Zack Ryder is off TV for months and months and months on end, and we have no idea why. Purely speculation on anybody's part as to why. Now, as far as whether or not the other side of that, whether or not I think this is a sign or symptoms of problems within WWE, I don't think so. And again, like I said earlier in the video, WWE is a multi-billion-dollar company. They just signed 2 huge deals. They're making money hand over fist. Obviously, they're doing something right, and they know more about the wrestling industry than I do. I can't even turn my little YouTube wrestling channel into a 1,000-viewer channel, and they're pumping out views to millions and millions and millions of people every day, if not every week. So it's whether or not I think they're doing something wrong. No, they're making money. Obviously, they're doing something right, and you either accept that or you don't. Does it work for everybody? No. Like I told you, it doesn't always fire on all cylinders for me, and there are times when I just have to kind of put a finger to my temple and gut through because I appreciate the talent and what they're trying to do. But I don't think this is at at the broad picture, looking at the whole thing, I don't think this is a huge issue for WWE. As I've said before and I said earlier, for every person leaving WWE, there are 10 more trying to get in the door. And that's just the truth. Whether they admit it or not, the goal for most wrestlers, I know it was when I was in the industry, I worked with a lot of guys who knew how the WWE was operated and they still wanted to get in there. Why? Because it was a comfortable paycheck and it was guaranteed work. Even if you weren't on TV all the time, they sent you out on the road and whatever the gate was, you got a portion of the gate. And that's not a bad life at all, even when you're on the road 250, 300 days a year. So I think I'm going to cut that short. There was a lot more I wanted to say, but I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it all into this video. Comments down below. Talk to me about this one, guys. If I need to make another video, I will. Again, thank you as always for watching. I'm trying to build an audience. You guys help me out. I appreciate the hell out of it. And I'm out.